Good morning, everybody. Welcome to day 3 of the S.E.R.V.E method. I was like, what day is this today? I'm so excited to be here with you guys. And just so you know, this is going to be a little informal morning because it has been an informal morning. It's November 11th at the time of recording this, and there's things going on with the planets, and some of us have been not sleeping, or it's been crazy, and you wake up and like, oh my gosh, I feel terrible, even though I went to bed like all clean and clear and meditation and affirmation and all that and feeling so good going to sleep, and then I wake up with like, what is this energetic buildup? And it took me, it's about 10 a.m. right now. I've been up since 5, and it took me hours and hours. I went for a hike, so I still have wet hair. I just got out of the shower. I did a ton of meditation. I did a ton of clearing and centering and all that. And it's still a little bit, something. So it's going to be a little bit informal today. So before we jump in, I want to encourage you to submit the questions. I put the link below. Go ahead and if you haven't submitted yours, submit the questions from yesterday, especially after you did all the processing, or you did or didn't do the homework. It doesn't matter at this point. Ask your questions because, well, 2 reasons. I ask questions all the time. It's one of the reasons I have been able to be so successful in multiple businesses, because I ask a lot of questions and I make myself ask them. Like even this morning, I'm in a group and I was like, oh my gosh, what is going on? I'm in a light workers group, light workers who are like 10 times more advanced. We're doing energy tracking and things like that. And a lot of really, really awesome skills that I'm learning to enhance my business consulting. But there's all these people, and I'm a chicken nugget. I'm like so new, and all these people who have been tracking for decades, and they're so good at this. They're so amazing. There's like, they know so much about energy and how to protect your energy and all this. And I'm like, and I go and I ask questions anyway, and I show up and I share. And it is, sometimes it is like we have all this like, oh my gosh, this stupid question. I want to take their time, like. That is like, there's so much magic. Like, you're actually going all in on yourself when you take advantage of opportunities like this, and you actually ask your questions. You submit them and you manifest that you're going to get the perfect answer for yourself. You're going to get the perfect context for yourself. And the more succinct you can be with the question, the more I can see what you're saying, the more I can see into it, the more I'm going to be able to answer it for you. Now, there's also another thing. There's serendipities. So other people might questions you didn't even know to ask. And you're going to ask a question that other people didn't even know to ask. And it's so important to ask their question anyway, because it is going to, even if the answer doesn't benefit you, I guarantee you, it is going to benefit somebody else. It's going to liberate somebody else in a way that you're not going to know, but you're going to have to trust. You're going to have to trust. We don't have a Facebook group for this. At least that is my decision right now. We don't have a Facebook group for this. But if you're a part of one of my Facebook groups, you can post your experience or whatever. And you're more than welcome to. But, so we cannot see the feedback loop. But I will tell you, there's always that feedback loop. There's always, like, you ask a question, it gets answered, somebody else benefits. Okay? So, 2-day session. Let's dive in. Before we move on to the E, which has to do with engineering your brand, I'm going to go back to the strategy for a little bit more and talk about the speed of scaling. There's so many shoulds and people telling us what we should do with our life and with our path and how fast we should and shouldn't scale. And it's like, oh my God, it's too crazy. All these people who are all about the millions and wanting to scale to 5, 10, 15 million, like it's all ego driven. They don't know what they're doing. They're going to fall flat on the face. And you don't want to be the, egocentric or greedy type who does that, right? Now, that's one example of where the should gets in a way. When it comes to scaling, and there was the other side of things, like people who actually really want to go slow and really focus on deepening their teaching or healing or coaching methodology. and get really deep with a handful of clients and really dial in their signature method, their signature model, their signature formula, and really, really observe what happens and go all in on just a handful of clients. Okay? And then when they're ready, they can write a book, they can record a bunch of video courses once they really know deeply the client, and then they want to scale. There is no right and wrong way. The only wrong way to do is to follow the should instead of your heart. Okay? Should instead of your heart. Your soul sometimes wants you to do things that are flat out stupid with some perspective, right? Because it wants you to experience something. It wants you to learn some lessons. So some of you are going to really be drawn to a $10 million year next year. Some of you are really going to be drawn to 2 clients the entire next year, 30K clients or 50K clients or whatever. Some of you are going to be drawn to somewhere in the middle. Okay, some of you are not even going to be income driven whatsoever because you don't need to. You don't need to, and you know you don't need to. You have things coming in, you have a lot of income coming in, and you do not need to worry about that. You just want to do a beta program and really focus on honing your skills and becoming better. So this scaling, and how fast do we scale? This is the place where, again, you have to go to your heart and do what really feels good or what feels instinctively good. So when I share these different strategies or client stories or whatever, just pay attention. Pay attention which part resonates with it. Is it the ego part, the vanity part that would really like to look good because da-da-da-da-da-da? Or is it like, oh my gosh, that sounds exciting. I don't think I can do that quite yet, but maybe half of it, that'd be really exciting, right? Maybe a 10K month would be really, really exciting. Maybe even 3K month would be really exciting because I've actually never generated revenue from anything, and that is really, really, really exciting to me in this moment. Wherever you are is awesome. Wherever you are is awesome. There were times that I was super excited about a $500 VIP day. So excited. It was my first VIP day. I was like, and I spent the entire day preparing for it. What's important is that it's juicy for you. It's juicy for you. It draws you in. And, for some of you who have done the scaling and you have generated $2-3 million or whatever, you might actually be really excited by this idea of taking it really slow and having just a couple clients. And then really, really honing in on your branding strategy, right? And actually letting go of the need to scale more until you can do it in a more automated way and not have to launch, right? And for some of you who have been doing the one-on-one coaching for a while, you're gonna be like, it's time. It's time to go. It's time to scale. I'm ready for this game, right? And some of you who might be new, but you also know that your gifts are real. You have, there's something, when you're with a person, you don't even know how, but things happen. You have gifts, whether it be strategic or healing or whatever. And you also really, really, really crave the experience of scaling your practice really, really quickly. And some of you are going to draw into the exact opposite of that, building slowly and steadily over the next 10 years and then getting to whatever $1 million mark or whatever it is, but it's going to be over years, and it's not about the revenue at all. It's about the impact. Wherever you are, whatever is pulling you is correct for you. Nobody can tell you. I don't know what the lessons are for you. I don't know where the expansion is for you. I don't know what your soul wants you to experience until we sit down together one-on-one and I start to understand where your heart is. I can't see what's going on inside you, right? So it is for you to really tune in. And even then, even in those one-on-one sessions, it's still your heart. It's still your heart. You know what I mean? You have to tune in. You have to tune in what's right for you. Nobody can tell you this, okay? But pay attention what you resonate with, and pay attention which part of you resonates with it. Now, there are times where your heart and your ego resonate with the same thing for different reasons, right? So, 2019, I went through trauma. I was abandoned as a new pregnant mom. Alexi's biological father left and blocked me, and he still haven't reached out or responded to anything ever since. It's been 3 years, more than 3 years. It was a major trauma in my life. It was also a major opening that would have consequences, that I would, I would only with time I would begin to see, like it would crack open why this happened, why this was a choice for my soul to go through that, and so on and so forth. There's nothing wrong in that experience either. But where I was trauma. I was in the midst of trauma without realizing I was going through trauma as a new pregnant mom. At that time, what I needed was to anchor in, focus on my business, let all the self-doubt and analyzing set aside, and just grow my business so I could build an amazing practice for myself to be able to provide the dreamline for Lexi. That's what I wanted. That's what I needed. That was important to me. At the time, I didn't have any money. I was applying for food stamps for, single pregnant mothers. That's where I was. And I made a decision. And sometimes it is about decision, what is right for me in this moment, and sticking to that decision for a period of time. And what was really right for me and in alignment with me at the time, and it was really pulling me, was to scale fast. And sometimes for me, the things that are like almost impossible, when we sort of deposit them in a quantum, because they're almost impossible, the mind doesn't get in the way so much, right? So the mind was like, I went to the Walmart, I bought this 8.5 by 11 little whiteboard, and I put it in my shower. And I would look at it every time I was doing my conditioning treatment. I would take a picture of it and put it in social media. I had no idea whether it was going to work out or not. It's hilarious. If you go to my old Instagram profile, then you're going to scroll down and you're going to see that post. It's so interesting. Okay. So then it was really in alignment with me to focus on the scaling. It's just what my heart wanted, and it's also what my ego wanted. Both. My heart and my soul wanted to get the lessons. They would be brutal. They would be the best thing I would need to become much more deeper of a person, gain deeper understanding into how I operate as a business owner, how I operate with clients, how my clients operate. It was a lot of very quick and very deep experience. Okay? So that was what was drawing me. It was both from my heart and from my ego. My ego wanted the vanity metrics and look good and whatever I needed to prove that I was worth something at the time, quite honestly. My, at the time, love of my life literally just like disappeared and poofed and blocked me, and I had a baby and I didn't have any money, and what do I do, right? And the place that I was in with my worthiness was like, oh my God, like it was crushed. I was crushed. And my ego needed something to know that I was okay. And so my ego needed this, and my soul and my heart wanted me to have the depth of the experience that it was bring. So sometimes you're going to have your heart and your ego want the same thing. Absolutely nothing wrong with that. Whatever path you choose, there's going to be, you're going to like doubt it. You're going to like, oh my gosh, like what? So greedy, so egocentric, whatever. Get that out of your mind. There's no right and wrong. It's just whatever. It's whatever is pulling you. Okay? Just make sure that you're using your inner authority as much as you can to decide. Because if you're amplifying something that somebody else is saying as their goal and they're excited about it, and you're like me and you amplify everything and you amplify somebody else's excitement, and then you're like, oh, it feels exciting to me too, I guess, And it's like, yeah, maybe not, right? Maybe that is not for you. So it is harder work to clear and to really check in with yourself what's right for me. And this is where I don't want to overstate my bound as a coach, because I know I can be hugely inspiring and I can tell you the best stories of scaling to $1 million mark in a year with a baby as a new single mom. And at the same time, I want to be super careful, because when I share this, I want you to check in with yourself. Is this really pulling me? Or am I really excited about it, but it's not really my excitement? You know what I mean? So really, really, really stay in your body when you listen to this. Stay in your own energy. Stay in your own body. Like, really check in with yourself. Check in with what is your response to the different scaling strategies that I talk about. Make sense? Now, I'm going to come to this piece on the speed of scaling as we go during the week. So you can kind of let this sit. And in the homework, feel into what feels good to you. Now, I want to weave in a little bit of the branding piece. And this is what I wrote yesterday. And I want to read this to you guys. Think about something. Imagine you were to hire a relationship coach. Would you buy based on their certifications? Would you buy based on how many modules in their program and price per session? Would you buy based on how many of your friends recommended them? Maybe. I wouldn't. I don't trust most people's recommendations, because I know we're all in very, very different spaces. Not that I don't trust their experience, but I know we're constantly moving in our consciousness. And we're in different places, and we have healed different things, and we have different things that we don't have healed, right? So I wouldn't. I am drawn to people based on whether I resonate with them. I am drawn to people because of their liberated context. When I listen to them, I'm like, ah, that feels good. No more shoulds. That feels good. You know, when I see posts that are branded correctly, or for me, branded correctly for somebody like me, it just makes me feel lighter. It's the kind of branding that I go like, oh, there's an easier way. It doesn't have to be full of shoulds. It doesn't have to be this other way. Let go of the unconscious rules. It doesn't matter. There's something like when I feel freer, when I feel liberated like that, it's like that. It's like that they got me and I'm going to follow them because I love me some liberated perspective, right? Like that's all we're doing here. We have been like under the weight of so many different shoulds for millennia, and so much self-doubt and so much unworthiness, so much proving ourselves, so much this and this and this and that. Like we're tired of it. We don't want to do that anymore. Like now, I'm going to do what I want to do. I'm all in on myself and I'm all in on everybody around me for us to liberate ourselves, all of us together, and like the rest of it is like not interesting. Okay? So when it comes to your branding success and engineering, now we get to the letter E a little bit, engineering the right brand for you. There's a few ways you can look at the branding. You can do the pain point marketing, pain point benefit challenge, blah, 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 and run the formats that way. Okay, you work with somebody, they help you design the perfect ad, you run it, it converts because it hit those pain points. Doesn't matter if you're solving them or not, but they're the right pain points. People are going to register, and you're just going to hope for the best. It's like one way to do it. It's quite risky. It is quite risky because you're basically marketing to people's egos. And again, there's no right and wrong. It is okay to do that. If you need the experience of scaling and you want to reverse engineer the pain points and the benefits and you want to do it that way. Now, what I really love, and I have done this ego marketing. I'm very good at it. I can teach you how to do that. If that is really what you want, where your heart really is. Now, I have a feeling that for some of you, it is that it's just not like, it's just not pulling you anymore. It's not that exciting. It's not that interesting. And what you're really interested in is being the liberator in the world. When you speak, when you post in social media, when you send an email, like, you want people to feel a certain way. Maybe you want them to feel excited and inspired. Maybe you want them to feel lighter. Maybe you want them to feel healed and liberated even through your posts. Maybe you want them to shake and turn certain things on its head. Maybe you want to just go in there and shake some stuff loose, question certain things, because you're observing humans have been going in circles, doing things a certain way, shooting themselves to death, right? And you're like, nope, we're not doing this way. How can I shake some things loose? How can I liberate this here, liberate that here? I can ask the questions for people to go like, how can I get people to question certain status quo that hasn't served them, right? So this is branding. This is what I also call the resonance marketing. It is getting deeper and deeper and deeper into what actually we care about and showing up on social media in the most authentic way and trusting that even though there's going to be people who are triggered, yes, they will. Yes, they will. Because when we talk about healing, when we talk about liberation, that is always part of the process. You say something, some people will be like, yes, of course. Your soul family is going to be, yes, of course. That's not your clients, though. Not always. That's the yes, of course people. And then there is the people who are just a little bit triggered by it. Here she goes again. There's something about it I just don't know about this. Like, I just don't know. It's like I'm not supposed. I've been told so many times not to go this way. Is this? I don't know. I don't know about this. It's against my belief system. It's against what I was told at church. It's against what I've been told by other relationships, coaches or business coaching, whatever. The thing is, sometimes that is what needs to happen. But there's also going to be part of them that is going to keep on coming back for your posts. For some of you, it's going to be your sword of truth, where you're going to be cutting through some serious stuff. Especially with this awakening going on, you're going to be talking about things that you're not supposed to talk about in some groups. But still, people will know. Intellectually, it's not going to make any sense. Oh my God, what's she talking about? I hate it. Why is she in my feed? And they'll be this close to unsubscribing sometimes. And by the way, as I say this, if you have this reaction, I don't want to cause controversy for the sake of controversy, that is so not what I'm talking about. You can put the nicest post out there and it's going to be controversial to somebody. It is not at all about trying to be controversial. At all. It is literally just about being exactly who we are. Some people are really controversial, and that is who they are. Other people are really controversial, and that is not where they are at all. They're just trying to be because they're trying to cause some riff and marketing, and you see it in these Facebook groups, and people are starting controversial conversations for the sake of it, but they don't really, they've just been told that they have to be controversial in marketing. That doesn't work either. That is not authentic, right? So, it's not about being controversial. It's about being willing to put stuff out there that is going to confront what people have been taught about their spirituality, about God, about their heart, about their life, about their parenting, about relationships, about commitment, about love, that you know is a programmed way of being, and you're willing to speak the truth. You're willing to speak your truth. You're willing to speak what it is. And it doesn't have to be phrased in like, I don't know who needs to hear this, or this is going to be controversial. You're just speaking your truth. You're just being yourself. And when you start doing that, that in itself is so liberating. Number one, the act of you doing this, the act of you actually showing up and saying what everybody's afraid to say or think, that in itself is really, really liberating. People just watch you do that is liberating in itself. And then when people come to your program, you know, this is my freaking programs, because it's like, it's so not about the formulas sometimes. Sometimes it's just about going beyond what we have been taught in the business world and how we think it should be, right? And giving people freedom to do things in whatever crazy way they want to do it. Be the artist in their business, create their own art, create their own thing. You know, their art can be their word, it can be music. They can bring music into coaching. They can bring all sorts of things. They can do, there's so many, as many unique businesses as there are people on the planet. And what I want for you is to have the most authentic, unique thing, and let go of all the comparisonitis, all the judgment on one hand, and then expectations of what results your authenticity should deliver on the other. And this is actually a very crucial piece. When we begin to be authentic in our social media, we actually find out what authenticity is, because there's layers to authenticity. We're only authentic to the extent to which we have unpeeled all the things that are not authentic about us. So it's constant unpeeling and uncovering and taking this off and taking that off, and like, woo, okay, like here I am. And it keeps going and going and going and going. So there's layers to authenticity. It's not like you get authentic and that's it. It's not like you get aligned and that's it. So expectations happen when you say, oh my gosh, I'm so aligned. Why is nothing happening? That is a problem. That is a problem, because should you be inauthentic just because you're not getting the results? Or are you willing to take the freaking risk? Keep being exactly who you are. Because the people who are severely triggered by you, those are the people, give it months, sometimes years, they're going to be like, that post you put out there on Facebook 4 months ago, I didn't even click like. I was just like watching and I'm like, oh. It took me months, but I saw it. I saw it. Have you got any one-on-ones open? It's just like that. But you have to trust. You have to trust. You have to trust that when you show up authentically and you continue sharing authentically, despite of what anybody's telling you, especially some of the business coaches out there, some of the business coaching advice I have been given, it was perfect advice because it taught me about discerning about advice. But it was like, Eva, you share too much on social media. People won't want to work with you because you're not above them enough when you present yourself like you're their equal, right? Because I put stuff on social media that makes it very obvious that sometimes I'm a hot mess. I'm single. I don't know how to do relationships. I'm figuring out my mothering. It's like, it's so, I don't know what I'm doing. Like, you have no idea the depth to which I have no idea what I'm doing, and how unnatural it is to me to be a mother, how much inner work it takes for me to be able to be present with Lexi, and the times when I'm not. Like, there's so much, right? And the premise of the old paradigm marketing is that we're the good savior. We're above everybody else. We know what we're doing. I don't. I'm just following my heart. And I'm having introspections. And I heal myself. And I integrate stuff. And I share. Because I believe, like when something comes through for me, I'm just like, oh my God, this is so amazing. I really want everybody else to get that too. And I go ahead and post it on Facebook. You know, or I or record a podcast or send an email or whatever feels good. I don't play the game of I have to be above everybody else, because if you have to be above everybody else and look a certain way and be perfect, then you're going to play the savior and you're going to take responsibility for everybody else and you're going to feel like a fraud. Now, you also have to work out of your system. And this is easier said than done. This requires deep inner work, but you have to work out of your system that not enoughness, unworthiness, undeservingness of clients, and whatever voices you have about people shouldn't work with me, because you actually have to sit with that and you have to really tell the truth to yourself. How do you feel about getting more clients? Do you think it's a good idea for people to sign up to work with you? Do you actually feel it's a good idea? Not what you want to feel, not what you want to think, but what is really there for you. Do you actually feel it's a good idea for people to work with you? Be honest with yourself. What is there? And then if it's like, I doubt myself, I'm not sure if I could deliver the results, I am so afraid I'm going to let people down. I don't really trust my method. I don't want to get a bunch of people into my program because I'm not sure it has integrity. Like, sort through it. Sort what is real and what's not real. Do some breathing. Get yourself in a very, very clear state. And then take these beliefs one at a time and look at them. Is this really authentic? Is this really true? Is this really, really true? Is there some more work that I need to do to really be able to help people? Or is it just a voice that has been there forever, that has been programmed into me that I'm not good enough? And there's always the next certification that I need to have. And I'm not deserving to make the money unless I'm really the purest version of myself and I'm doing good in the world. And if there's something impure about it that I don't deserve to be provided for, I don't deserve the money for it. And on and on and on and on and on and on and on. That is something that I'm going to end the lesson here, because this is such an important question to sit with. It's not going to be easy. It's not going to be easy. But you're going to breathe. And you're going to write down the reasons you really want, the number of people that you want to work with you, and why it's a good idea for them. And then you're going to dig up all the reasons that they shouldn't, because they're there. They're not going away. And you're going to sit with the source of that. Where is this coming from? Is this a trauma? Is this something you haven't forgiven yourself? Is there some ways that you're still playing the savior? We talked about this on yesterday. Is there some ways you're still taking responsibility for saving them rather than providing the space for guiding them? Or them empowering themselves? Do you trust that you can hand them their power back and be like, you are in charge of your empowerment. You're in charge of your results. I am here to hold space. I'm here to be your biggest cheerleader. I'm here to be your guide. I'm here to provide the best answer as I can. But ultimately, you are responsible for your own success. I cannot predict your business results. I cannot predict whether you're going to be the one going from 50K to 500K or from 0 to 100K in like the next whatever months, right? I cannot predict that that is what's going to happen for you. You are in charge, but do I trust myself to hold an empowering space where we can talk like this, when we can have empowering conversations, where where there is responsibility, but there's 100% responsibility. There's like, nobody is there to save anyone. There's no victims. There's nobody responsible for somebody else's success, but we are coming together in the support of your dream. I'm excited to see you tomorrow. I'm so excited to see you tomorrow. I'm so excited to continue this conversation. Thank you for being here. See you soon.